we have our school year here, 22, 23. And then our core switch group. So this is the one that I just took a look at. So we have that web online request. This is also why it's nice to only have one. You don't have to make sure to choose a different one, only one there. And we're going to create a new one. Are we allowing freshmen to seniors? Everybody is going to be able to go online?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know why seniors have. Teacher seniors? Yeah. Yeah.
We're talking.
Yeah.
We're good.
All right, and then we are going to do electives only, correct?
Yeah, correct.
Okay. So then I usually just ask this. I mean, typically it is just the normal schedule type. So on the courses themselves, there are normal, manual, special ed, and it's dropped as the fourth option. But typically, most districts choose only the normal schedule type, and any manually scheduled courses are typically not chosen for a course request. Is that what you can go with as well?
Sure.
Yeah, because we don't do the manual.
Request the manually scheduled course.
Okay. Leave it as it is. We will manually put it.
Okay. And this is usually how I keep it set up. I don't change too much to do all course types, course groups, and kind of leave it at that. However, the only other one in here would be including study halls. Do you let them request study halls?
No.
Okay. All right, settings here, ready to go. Elective, normal, 9 to 12, and create. Go ahead and hit run. And continue. So you have two process types. You have append and you have create. They both kind of do the same thing. It's only if we run this and then all of a sudden you realize, oh shoot, I have 6 classes or 6 new courses that we're going to offer next year, and I haven't added them to the list yet. If you do append, and so say you want to and add them so the students can do their course request online after you've added them. Appending them kind of puts it at the bottom of the list. If you rerun this utility with create selected, it's going to just put them right in line of where they would normally be on the course. And that's truly the only difference between the two. All right. So from here, all we have to do is the course availability list utilities. I'm actually going to jump back. It's kind of one where I can go back and forth. We're going to go to request probably close again.
No, you're kind
And then back to our switch group. So now you'll see each of the graduates listed. As you expand them, you'll start to see the courses. So this is just going to show you the first 20 courses, so you can view all of them. And I do recommend going through these and just double checking and making sure that they should be offered for that specific grade. And if there's any that you don't want, maybe design isn't going to be offered or something, you can drop it from this page here, and it won't show up online for the student. So this is kind of your last area where you can go and make any necessary changes before it shows up online. So again, I would just going through these in different graduates, double-checking the courses, and dropping.
I'm being very disruptive. I'm sorry, Nicole, can I just say something? And I'm sorry, I'm being very disruptive, dropping my coffee.
That's okay.
Last year, and Beth and Miles can decide this, but last year, they didn't get that whole list. Like, we went through and put what was available to them to pick as their request for like their elective. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So like we made a,
You should be only elective. You should only be elective for that.
right, but they didn't see this, they didn't see this view. Like they just had like the left side of the screen and the right side of the screen, and they could pick.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, we're gonna get there.
Okay, sorry.
This is just at the office. They will never give this list. Oh, this is just how they get that.
So you'll have to
list.
drop
You
the
know,
last
here's your options, and then, you know, you click and highlight them, and then add a new one.
Okay, sorry, I was getting ahead of myself.
I can see, yep, that's definitely done. That's actually our next step.
Sorry.
That's a good segue. Yeah, so this is just for you guys to go through then. All right, so, we're gonna back out of here, and then our next step is jumping out to student access. And we're going to go to students. And the student access. Setup. And we're going to configuration. And proceed configuration. Perfect. Pressure 5. So now because we have plumbed into the new year, you'll see school year 2022 listed 4 times and school year 2023 4 times. So we're going to only work with this kind of bottom half of 2023. So starting with alternates here. Now, did you guys allow them to request any alternate courses?
We did last year,
Yeah. We want to do it.
Okay. So I'm going to go into edit. And you'll see you have guardian options and you have students. So I'm assuming you're pretty much just letting the students do the course request. Not guardians.
No, we actually opened last year, we opened it up to both. Parents could view it, students had to select so that the parents could see if they had any questions or, I mean, if you guys, that's how we do it. That's how you guys.
Will enable, so I'm gonna, so when it's checked as disabled, when it's unchecked as enabled, so we're turning on the alternate. And then I do recommend, or we typically recommend for maximum alternate request, usually about 2. If you plan on using an alternate scheduler, that's what it's called. It's something that is typically run after you run the auto scheduler. It allows it to run the first alternate and then the second, so that's usually why we say 2. Otherwise, the districts tend to just manually schedule, like if a student has a hole in their schedule because they couldn't get into their first choice, and you want to have a few options, you know, you could do 3 and just know that you'll probably end up, you know, manually
which is
scheduling.
what we did.
As well. So hopefully it's you guys.
We'd like at least 3 alternates.
3?
Yep.
Ready? Stay on it. Possibly. Come on. Here. I'm going to just show you this right off the bat. You'll see it twice. So you can use course request time period. And then once you check that box, this time period button opens up here for you and is available. So you can allow, you know, if you want, you could allow your seniors to pick first, then your juniors and so on. and these would be for the alternates. You'll see this time period button again when you allow them to request their main courses. I would just recommend if you decide to use time periods, make sure they're identical in both locations. So I'll point it out again when we get to that option. And this last one is, I don't know, I don't really care for it. Personally, do not show required or elective in class list. So a lot of districts, quite a few districts do allow their students to request both required and elective courses. And what this does is it takes off and it removes if the course is elective or required. So the student doesn't know. I don't personally like that. I mean, I think students should know if they're requesting a required course or if they're requesting an elective. In your case, it wouldn't matter as much because they're only electives anyway. But I think that would be very confusing if they were letting them choose, both options. The next two are pretty much just things you have to enable, available and selected. So we'll go into both of them. The course request available. We're going to enable them for both guardian and student. And the selected. So this is kind of the one here, the selected option, that you could pretty much keep on even after course requests have closed. It just allows the student to be able to go back out and take a look at the courses that they've selected for the next year. They won't be able to make changes to it or anything, but they would be able to at least, take a look and remember if they had a question or something like that. But that's, for something down the road. We're going to enable it for both. And the last one is the most important, update selection. This is the one that is picking all the courses. We're going to go to enable. So the first one we have limit number of requested credits to. So you kind of have a ballpark of what you want them to be able to select. Worth of credits.
So is this count
Usually it can, yeah. That's a really good question. I might have to test that one.
Yeah,
Usually it's all of them.
Yeah, freshmen five credits. So there's a big
Okay. Maybe let's not limit anything then quite yet because we don't want to. That would mean because this is where it kind of gets funny. I wish it wasn't even credits anyway. We are trying to get this switched so we can just say how many classes to choose or how many, I should say, courses to choose. I would almost recommend at some point sending out a message center and letting them know, like, hey, freshmen, you can request up to 1 credit. So if you have a semesterized schedule, you can pick 2 electives. So I'm going to just leave this one unchecked for the time being.
I wonder how it's set up, like right now, and how we set it up for
Yeah.
2022.
Is that something you can check to see how it's set up for this year? How they did it last year for this year? Because it mostly said it would work.
Yeah.
I think it was just, it was, you couldn't get so specific, like, if I remember right, like, it was just a straight up number, like 2 or whatever.
But if we go in and we put in 4 credits and they just have to do the remaining 2, but we say you do 6, if that, don't say 6, 4 allowed. Great. Also, on the freshman grade, a bunch of classes, too many things.
Right.
or, well, I always have to do a follow-up email, that'll send it Connie. If you wanted, you guys could always, you wanna put one of your email, unless she'll just forward it on to you. I can do testing with that one and see. My initial thought is you probably have to include the request that you put in at the office level, but I'll confirm that too, let you know.
Thank you.
The next one down allows course requests through offers to be removed. I almost never see this one checked. That would be you going through all of your required courses, adding them to the student, and then allowing them to just take off algebra or history or whatever. So, probably wouldn't want that one checked. Allow students to schedule courses previously passed. You let them, I would only say like, unless you allow them to take the same band course from year to year,
Yeah, we can have that.
that would be applicable.
Yep.
So do you want me to check it?
Yeah.
The next one down, I have no idea why this was ever even added here. Allow students to select their band instruments. Truly don't, never seen that one checked. The next one, only list class action for courses based on students' career plans. Do you guys have career plans set up?
Not in Scotland.
Okay. And then, use course request time periods. So again, if you did like an option of creating time periods, you can check this, come up here. I'm just gonna add one so you can see you have to create a time period for each specific grade. So if that's something you're interested in, you can create one for your ninth graders first, put in the date and enter in their time frame of when they'd be able to do their course request. And if they then do that for the 10th and 11th and 12th. I would say time periods are a little bit more popular when it comes to things like arena scheduling, more so than course requests. You can have as many course requests as you want. That doesn't really matter. It just comes down to when you are running the auto scheduler. Auto scheduler is going to look at your seniors first anyway and say, okay, they requested this course and they don't have another option. They don't have next year to get it, so they're going to, hopefully schedule them first before, a 10th grader might have requested the same course. So great. So usually this is kind of how I have it set up. Sometimes I do have that limit number of requested credits in there as well. So this is kind of what you're looking for. How these are turned on, enabled, yes, under student and family access. So once that has been set up, it's technically turned on right now for a student. If they were in their student access right now, technically speaking, they could request support. So we'll make this quick. So you might want to, and then you can disable that option. So do we have like a test student we could work with so I can show you the end result?
I don't have a text student set up.
Or just
No.
maybe kids?
Ashante Justin.
And here,
You know what, just do.
here we go.
Yep.
Ellen, okay. Oh, shoot. You can't log in as them. And
Yeah,
do you have that option to be able
Yeah.
to log in as a student?
I don't
yeah, we do.
do.
It's probably the wrong way, but I go student access users.
if you want to try it,
Oh, you don't have access to it. Why do you not have access to it? That's where you go. I mean, I can do it, but
Connie didn't give us that, right?
it seems that there's something like that. Yeah, sometimes we can read in the security a little bit. And you want to share my screen, and so you just like
yes.
in line.
How do you do it? Okay. Yeah, you got that little button there. I don't have that little button either. Makes sense we wouldn't have that. Email Connie when you're done being sick. 20 days. How do you get 20 days?
Like you can look at their login history. Because
Yeah.
you can go, you can see it right. When you go to student profile, right? You can tell.
Yeah.
You know, maybe you're like,
It's not very easy to look at.
I was Rachel's here today.
Yeah.
Right? You need it.
I mean, like it's just different view, right? Like I would like to know.
I mean, I just
Yeah.
get fast enough.
Yeah, that's
You just
exactly
go
what it
to
looks like.
her, I mean, you know, you can see your GPA summary. I just
Can
think
you
that
guys see my screen okay?
Yes. I'd like to be able to log in as a student so that I can pull up a kid with the family in there and be like, you don't know what your grades are?
Yeah.
Well, sorry.
Well, you could go to the grades right here. That's
Oh,
what
yeah.
I'm saying.
Yeah, I'm saying
It's
to
got where
prove.
there's 5 different places to
Yeah.
look at the same information.
Right, yeah.
You know, you can show like missing assignments.
My student had, logged into student access. I just went through and did all of the kind of same stuff, and configuration, and enabled everything in student access. And under schedule, it always shows their current year schedule, but then they're gonna get this box right up here that tells them that the course requests are now open. And they can request the courses for 22-23. And this is what they'll see. I mean, obviously, I must have added some course requests to him already, but this is what they'll have that available courses and their selected courses already. So, I mean, I could say, let's remove one of these. I guess I must add a new. So this is the note that they'll give. This is good. Students don't have access to remove course requests scheduled by the school, so we didn't check that box for them. I don't think I have any limit to my request, but they'll have that elective next to it, so they'll have take their class and add course. and we'll just add over to their list of selected. But then also at the top, you can see that we are on the requested courses here. So because you are doing alternates as well, they'll click on that, and they'll be able to enter the number, which you have a maximum number of reviews. So they'll be able to choose 3 more from the same list as your request, the original, and then they'll just add 3 more courses for their alternate. That's all it'll do. And they can take them off as, it says 0. So this is what it looks like for the end user.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. So what we might want to do, I'll have you bring up yours and share your screen again. We might want to turn off family or student access for the time being. Just so they can't start requesting unless you want them to. Do you want me to disable it for the time being?
Yes, please.
So we're going to go back over student access, setup and configuration, entity configuration. And do you want me to just turn off all of them
Yes.
Please.
so you can't see anything? So whenever you guys are ready for for them to be able to do course requests, this will just have to be, your availability list has already been created. You'll just have to make sure to turn on as family student access. There we go.
Misspoke to
You
say.
didn't do the guardian.
Okay, so requests are done for the students.
You didn't do the guardian for that last one.
That's the whole setup. So the next part would be just,
Nicole.
add,
Nicole,
pardon me?
you didn't disable for the guardian for that last one you were doing.
Oh. Come on. Sorry, the mouse is not following me anymore. Oh, dear. Here we go, let's try this. All right, it kind of kicked me out a little bit.
Go ahead, approve.
I'm sorry, can you take control? I don't know, it's not working anymore. There we go, thank you. We did not like that switch over, I'll tell you that. Come on. I'm sorry if it looks like it's moving like that for you. It's really just kind of a delay on my end, so apologize. All right, they're all no's. That's good. Okay. So the next one, sounds like you did math add course requests for your required courses for your students. So the utilities that we use or recommend for that is under the Office tab. And we're going to go down to teacher scheduling, request processing, setup, and in utilities. The second one down is the math add change delete student request. Have anybody used this before?
No. But Karen might have.
So I'm kind of happy to have listed in here. I'm always advocate for brand new templates from year to year, especially with future scheduling. A lot of times with reports and utilities in this area, from one year to the next, they don't work. And it is a really common service call that we get every year. They try to use the same utility that they did last year, the same template. Just they rename it or change the school year. And it looks like it processes through, but it doesn't. It just did something in the system between the year-end rollover, the new school year, and you also have, cloning into the next school year. The utility just doesn't really like it. So I always push for brand new templates from year to year. So for today's date, let's say 10th grade group. Numbers here. It is something like that where, or if it's, maybe math and science that you add together, or whatever the case may be, however you add. I just kind of like to make it well known as to what I've added for these students when I look at my, list of templates. So I kind of have a detailed template description, I guess you could say. School year 22-23 was good to kind of take a look at that, make sure it's in the correct school year. And then you have your process by. You have individual, multiple students, range, and by sport. I would say the most common ways districts ever run this is through multiple students or by range, really. So as you toggle between the different radio buttons here, this button here will change. So what's nice with the multiple students, the keep them clicked and select the multiple students, and I really don't like this, but it does this too. They'll have your graduating students as well, so you'll want to work with your filters. If you have a group of students that aren't rangeable, I guess you could say, this would be the easiest way to grab them. That means you could say, oh, Sante's in there, and then kind of scroll through and find the next person that you needed, and then click their name. So that's kind of why anybody would use the multiple students. It's also pretty common with elementary scheduling because, again, it's a situation where sometimes you can't always range for them, but it's a quick way to be able to, it's a different kid that you need.
That'd be good for like everyone who's in
So that's multiple students, and then by range, this is probably the number one most common way anybody runs this utility. With your range button. And if you were working with your 10th graders, we'll do 10 to 10. We have active, and you have gender, and you have special ed. So typically gender, I would leave set to both. And then special ed, that's kind of 50-50. If it's where they always get the same requests as everybody else, but you still manually schedule them. I mean, you can include them. Otherwise, I've worked with a lot of districts that they keep them excluded and they just build their schedule by hand and completely separate. And from here, they would hit save. So that range of students, you see you're going to add, at the bottom, I'm going to jump past the exclusion courses and go down to where it says process type. So you'll notice a whole mess of other radio buttons here. So hence the name, mass add, change, delete. You can add courses and classes, you can change, you can delete them, and you can mass delete all requests. So it's a pretty big utility. Most common way that this is used is to mass add a course request or even mass add an actual class to a group of students. The change is popular if maybe there was a mistake, maybe you added the wrong course, you added the wrong course key that's no longer being used, and you need to change it to a different one. So that'll take anybody in the range. You pick your course and you pick the course you want to change it into, and then it'll delete the original. Delete course class, again, this is one that's kind of, for a specific reason. Again, maybe they've added too many courses or the wrong ones or, what have you, made a mistake in some way. You can delete them. You would just pick your course request, the course that you chose, and then it will delete from any student that had that added. And then the last option, please use this with caution. If you decide to run it, it is a mass delete all request. So if you are in the request processing stage of future scheduling, I would not run the mass delete all request, because it will mass delete all of your course requests. And I like to say that because this has happened before. We have gotten those frantic clearance calls of people deleting their course requests. It's only really ever recommended to use after you are completely done with scheduling. So all of your students have class in every period, and there's maybe a leftover course request here or there. That's usually when this is run, or they've completely messed up and they need to start completely brand new. That would be the only time that would have occurred. So come back to add course request. I'm going to go into this little button here that says course request. And you're going to see your course master. So if we were working with our 10th graders, okay, they need all their English 10A and 10B. This is what I would do. Check those little things go up, and add those. And then kind of scroll down and find my science classes, and then go to my math, what have you. There might be some situations where, I don't know, with algebra or, which ones you did manually add for students, or if there's kind of a list, a processing list you have of students and what math they're supposed to take, and that's kind of where it gets a little bit more difficult to just add in math. But there might be some other ones, gym and what have you. And then once you've had and went through all the courses that you know of, you go over here and hit save. And they'll list out here. So every 10th grader would get one 10A and one 10B, save and process. And that's how you would mass add your course request. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yep.
Sounded a little unsure at first, but just to make sure, okay.
Well, okay, so if we mass add everyone into English 10 A and B, but then we have some students who take advanced English instead, would we just use the roster to add those kids in and then go back and delete the English 10, or do we just take them and only select the students who get.
That's a good question. I guess I gotta cut that on here. So what I would maybe do, if you had those students that were supposed to be in like those advanced English class, I would maybe choose them if it's easier to do it by multiple students, or, if I can move this over slightly. Yeah. There is an option to run this utility against the processing list as well. That you could,
Okay.
okay, there we go. No, move. Sorry, it's super delayed all of a sudden. But there is that option with the processing list here.
Okay, yeah, I think I've got it figured out. I know.
So just to make sure, so if we go in with a range of 10th grade and we had English pin for all students, but we've got 30 kids who take advanced English, and after I've done that, I can click multiple students, select those 30 kids, hit the LEAP course, put in the English pin code, process that, and then add the advanced English for those 30 kids again, right?
Otherwise, you could do it by multiple students. Let me just check this real quick. We go multiple students. They will pick, let's do this one for now. Save. Yeah, it's not letting you. Yeah, you'd have to, because normally with the exclusion courses, you can only go by range. So I mean, really, you could add the multiple students, add their course request of, say, advanced English, and then you go to your ranges, add the rest of the 10th graders that are going to get, regular 10A, or whatever, 110A and 110B. You can have this exclusion courses, and say anybody that has whatever that advanced English is, click that as the exclusion. So any student that has that is not going to get the course request for 110A. So it's just one way that you can prevent them, but like you said, you could do it the other way if that makes more sense to you.
Okay, thank you.
Delete off the old one and add them into their advanced. Same with math.
Perfect, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Good question. Otherwise, you could do chains for those kids too, possibly. So there's a few different ways that you could definitely get that, switched over for the students. But this is going to be probably the easiest way to get any sort of math adding of anything. This is the utility that we always recommend. For that situation, there is probably three other ways. I mean, through the student profile, you can add a course request. You can add them through, I'm going to show you another way. So we have entry by student and quick entry. Some active students in here only, so a little easier. To expand on their name. Some people like this, like using the entry by student option. So you can do add by course, you can do the quick entry, so if you go add by course, you could go through, hit request, and add it by an individual kid. And then there is quick entries. Now this will only be useful if you kind of have your course keys memorized. So if it's a person that's working the course master a lot, and remembers the 110A and 110B, this is the way to go. You know, this is a quick way to add it by an individual student. Start typing it in, birthdays, add course, and so on. So that is another way that you can do this too. So like I said, there's a few different ways to add these course requests for your kids. So in math is the quickest. And then, however, if you like to enter by student, if you're a brown screen person, that's the way to go. Otherwise, like I said, under the student and student profile, in future, you can, again, add course, and you'll notice the request book entry here as well. And you'll see all of this. In this case, what gets kind of confusing is you'll see these are all the different sections. It wouldn't matter, you know, say she was a 10th grader, if you did English 10A and you hit request course, it's going to just request English 10A and 10B. It's not going to actually put her into a class unless you choose that schedule class button. And then you can also get into request book entry here as well. So again, that same view, it's just the or just typing in whatever the word key is. How are we feeling about course requests? Feeling a little bit better? Yeah.
We just have to enable it already. We're talking about hiding the app. Right? Yeah, I know. So, yeah. I think we got it.
I think we're good.
Okay. So just remember, like, you know, I know we kind of briefly mentioned it, but just under that request processing, setup and code, and the wish group. That's where you're going to find the actual courses that are available for your students. So I truly do recommend, you know, say it again, they go through and make sure these are all courses that you're going to offer for next year. And the only reason why is, you know, maybe pottery wasn't going to be something that you decided to have for next year, and all of a sudden you have 30 kids that requested it. That's just 30 more kids that you're going to have to find and say, hey, can you request something else? You know, have to go and find them. So this is that last line of defense, and this is where you can quickly drop it if it's something that you decide is not going to be offered. So once you've dropped it, if you decide to see that was a mistake, you can come back out here, same spot, and attend it, and it'll still be offered that online for the student. Did you want to walk through doing, you know, setting up that utility and adding it? If you feel comfortable, I just don't want to do it pretty quickly. So.
I think so.
I think we're
Yeah, this follows along exactly what she just did in there. Also, it's recorded.
cool. I think we're good then.
Okay. If there's something else you wanted to go through, I know it's pretty much just like course request. So if there was something else that you had a question about, I mean, we do have a half hour, but if you're fine, and we can part ways, and that's okay too.
I know. Okay. Then, no, if I think we're good, we'll get started on some work.
Okay. Well, I'm just gonna do a little testing on the requested credits for like the overall, like, you know, and then I will send it on to Connie, and hopefully I'll just ask her to forward it onto you guys as well. Okay.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
Right. You are welcome. Well, I hope you guys have a good day. Have a nice rest of your week. Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for using WebEx. Visit our website at www.webex.com.